friends, it's your old pal Jordan the Lion. How are you all doing today? Great. I'm doing well too. We haven't been to a cemetery for a while, and I know a lot of people that watch this channel love the cemetery vlog. So today I want to do a vlog on someone a little bit more than a cemetery. A guy that if you love classic television, you know him. William Frawley, the guy that was Bub on My Three Sons, and he was lovable landlord Fred MERTZ on I Love Lucy. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the man behind Fred MERTZ, what he was really like, and we'll go visit a couple of places that were big parts of his life, whether it be his career or his sad ending. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now, and today's Patreon sunglass vlog is for Lisa Budas. Lisa, I hope you're an I Love Lucy fan. Let's roll. Lisa, these orange sunglasses are going to be yours, and I got them at Goats on the Roof in Pigeon Forge. And in our last vlog, we went to Valley Relics Museum, and I was telling you about all the classic shirts that they sell of bygone businesses, and I got Licorice Pizza because we went and did a vlog on Licorice Pizza up on Sunset Boulevard with Vicki Hamilton. I just thought, hey, why not? Let's help support Tommy's business here. Cool shirt too. Jaw loves this park, so this has become our new go-to, kind of. Look, he's got a friend waiting on him. You're nice and colorful. Finally getting a little bit of a break from the heat. It's not quite as bad today as it's been lately. So don't worry, this isn't going to just be a cemetery vlog. I'm going to do a little bit more. We're actually going to go to where Desi and William agreed for him to be Fred MERTZ, and we're also going to go to where William passed away. Alright, we're making our way into Hollywood. We're going to start over here at Paramount Studios on Melrose. So right over here is the entryway to Paramount Studios. And William Frawley's career changed at the age of 64 years old, right here in front of it. Paramount has a very vast history. Even before the studios here had a vast history, but since it's been here, part of the studio has been either rented out or sold out at different times to not only Howard Hughes, but Desilu Productions. Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball at one point had pretty much the entire left section of Paramount Studios as Desilu. However, they didn't film I Love Lucy here, but in 1951 they decided they were going to do I Love Lucy, and this was a vehicle to showcase Lucy's humor, Lucille Ball as the star of this, and they had two supporting characters, Fred and Ethel MERTZ, that were going to be part of the comedy relief. And it was actually right here in front of this studio that Bill Frawley changed his life. You see, William Frawley had a long career as an entertainer. He had started out in vaudeville with his brother doing a comedy act. Very well trained, had great comedy timing, could sing, could dance. And then when he got married, he and his wife Louisa formed their own vaudeville group, and eventually he made his way to Broadway. But you see, one of the problems with Bill Frawley was that he had a couple of downsides to his personality. One was that he was a known hothead. If he got mad, he acted on it. And two, he was a heavy drinker. So his days in Broadway, he was even fired from one of his plays for punching Clifton Webb in the nose. He said that he didn't like the way Clifton Webb was talking to him, told Clifton it so much, and said that if you do it anymore, I'm gonna punch you in the nose. Clifton did, punched him in the nose, and Bill Frawley was fired. So when he came out to Hollywood, he basically would take any kind of acting job that paid, and was always kind of a problem. Like I said, he was a known drinker and he was a hothead, and even though he was getting some bit roles here and there enough to pay the bills, his career started to stall out because he would lash out and make other performers on the set not like him. They didn't want to act with him afterward. He would sour the relationship and the friendships, and so his career was really starting to kind of stall out until he heard that Lucy and Daze were going to start this new show, I Love Lucy, and he called up Daze and asked if he could possibly be considered to play the part of Fred MERTZ, a part that originally Daze wanted Gale Gordon to be in, which is interesting because Gale Gordon did eventually end up on the show I Love Lucy, but he couldn't accept the part at that time when they were offering it. And then once the show was over and Lucy did her next show, Gale Gordon was one of the stars of that show. But at any rate, Bill had reached out to Daze and said that he would like to play Fred MERTZ, and so it was right here where I'm standing. There was a restaurant called Nick Odell's that they decided to meet at. This was a known watering hole, and a lot of actors would come here because, as I just showed you, it was directly on the corner of the entryway into Paramount Studios. So from the studio gates all the way onward to the corner over here was where Desilu Productions was operating out of. But like I said, that's not where they were going to film I Love Lucy. But it was Nick Odell right here was the restaurant that Bill Frawley and Daze met at, and Daze said in no uncertain terms, "You have a reputation. We like your comedic timing. We think you'd be good on the show." Lucy and I, you know, even though they hadn't considered him originally, they were thinking after meeting him that he would be a good choice. But they said in no uncertain terms that if Bill had a drinking problem, he was not to drink on the set. Nothing could be done on the set to disrupt the production. Anything that was, if Bill was either late, didn't show up, was drunk, anything, he would be fired. And Bill agreed to those terms, but said he had a stipulation as well that he was a massive New York Yankees fan. In fact, he was best friends with Joe DiMaggio, and he had a clause put into his contract that if the Yankees made it to the World Series, Bill got time off for the Yankee games. And so that actually benefited him because out of the 9 seasons they did of I Love Lucy, the Yankees were in 7 of those World Series. So actually 2 full episodes of I Love Lucy, William Frawley had to be written out of because of the Yankees being in the World Series. So let's head over to our next stop now. Well, we are over now at what is known as Sunset Las Palmas Studios. For many years it was known as Hollywood Center Studios. And back when they rented out 2 years worth of space, right here, there's a studio here and one right here. They were actually in this second one for the first 2 seasons of I Love Lucy. It was General Service Studios. Now, as great of chemistry as Vivian Vance and William Frawley had on screen, it was not like that off screen. Vivian hated William Frawley. She did not like that he was her husband in this. In fact, she used to call him the old coot and said that he was, well actually at the time he was cast, he was 20 years older than Vivian. So she didn't like this because she felt like this made her seem older on the show. But for the show, he was a perfect fit. He was kind of a curmudgeon in real life, and he was a curmudgeon on the show, and their dislike for each other in real life kind of went on to the show, and people took it as like a teasing and loved it. They both had a background in vaudeville on the show, so they were able to do a lot of great singing and dance sketches and things like that. But they said once that they yelled cut, those two did not talk. They gave each other dirty looks. Basically what I understand it was that William Frawley, when he first started showing up on set, he heard Vivian complaining about him, saying that he was known or had a reputation for being hard to work with and kept calling him the old coot, and that just made him not like her right away. So that just went on for all that time. In fact, when the show ended, Vivian said she never wanted to work with him ever again. But they had a great chemistry on here. Like I said, Fred was great on this show because he was curmudgeon-y. He was the voice of reason at times, but because both he and Ethel had a background in vaudeville, whenever Lucy wanted to do anything entertainment related, it wasn't hard to get support from Fred. He always tended to, in what most cases he would side with Ricky. When it was something entertainment, he always ended up helping Lucy. So there was just this great charm. They all had great chemistry together. And they said that William on set was interesting because he could read a script and memorize it right there. But they said what he would do is he would immediately upon receiving a script, tear out all the pages that didn't have his dialogue. So he never knew what happened in any of the episodes if he didn't have dialogue in it. And Vivian, they said the first thing she would do when she got a script is she would go through and see how many times she had to interact with William. Kind of sad to know, I guess, in the background of it all, that they really didn't like each other. In fact, when the show was ending, there was talk of them doing a Fred and Ethel spinoff, but Vivian immediately said, no way, I'm not working with that guy ever again. I don't want to do anything with him. I don't want to do any shows. Now, they all were nominated for Emmys throughout the history of the 9 years that this show was running, but William didn't ever win an Emmy. And when he was asked about it, he said, well, I knew they didn't know what they were doing when Vivian won one. Now let's head out of here, and I'm gonna go tell you about his sad ending. And when I Love Lucy went off the air, Lucy and Ethel, Vivian and Lucy, went on to do The Lucy Show. And they had quite a few seasons of that, so they had a great career after that. And William got cast on, well, Bill, as his friends would call him, got cast on My Three Sons playing Bub. Basically a pretty similar character. He was a lovable curmudgeon, this angry grandfather figure to these kids, and they said this is where his health really started to fail. You know, he had had problems with you know, his personality conflicting with other people. He had had drinking problems, but apparently when he was doing My Three Sons, he was starting to fall asleep on the set, and they actually had to have someone lay on the floor and tap him on the leg when it was time for him to say his lines or things like that during rehearsals. And eventually they ended up having to let him go because the beginning of the 5th season he couldn't pass a physical, and so they had to unfortunately release him from the show. So here we are on Hollywood Boulevard, March 3rd, 1966. William Frawley had just seen a movie over here at the Vine Theater. You can actually see the white marquee right there. He had just seen a movie, was leaving with his male nurse. He had had prostate cancer and had a male nurse for the last year. They were leaving here, and William had a heart attack and went down. Now, what's interesting is that he, for years of his life, had lived right here at the Knickerbocker Hotel, which I have vlogged before. So they ushered him over here to the lobby where they could call an ambulance, and then they took him over to our next stop. How strange is that, that basically the last place he would see before he died would be one of his old apartments. It's kind of sad. I had read that because of his personality, William didn't have a lot of close friends in his life, and for the last year of his life, like I said, he basically had that male nurse as a constant companion everywhere he went. So now, as you can see, we're over at the Hollywood Wilcox Police Station, and the reason we're here is because at the time, after William was rushed over to the Knickerbocker, he was then brought over to here, which at the time was called the Hollywood Receiving Hospital, where William Frawley was pronounced dead. Well, we're leaving Hollywood now, and we're heading out to the San Fernando Valley Mission Cemetery. Here we are. He's actually fairly easy to find because he's right here in the front section when you first enter. Just a little here to the left. Kind of in front of that statue over there. So when you first park, you just start walking central towards this statue. Well, you can see from the street where I parked right over here, it's pretty easy to find. It's just right here. Got here at a bad time for the sun, but there is his grave in loving memory of William Frawley, February 26, 1887 to March 3rd, 1966. Right here next to his two brothers, John and Paul. Paul, who he started vaudeville with, doing their duo together. Now, William was pretty smart because when he negotiated to do I Love Lucy, he kind of mimicked what Daze was doing. and took a nominal salary, because in those days TV hadn't boomed yet. You didn't make very much doing TV considered or compared to what you made doing movies. So William, much like Daze, took a deal where he would get residuals in perpetuity. So even after he died, he would be paid for every time I Love Lucy aired. So that made him pretty wealthy in the end. And he ended up leaving, since he didn't have really much family. He left a portion of his estate to St. John's Hospital to pay for his brother's possible surgeries that they might need. So John and Paul are right here next to him. He paid for that, and then left a bulk of his rest of his estate to an actress and her daughters. Interesting. And William Frawley, when he was laid to rest, his pallbearers were Desi Arnaz and Fred McMurray amongst his brothers. Rest in peace, William Frawley. Now, when it was announced that William Frawley had passed away, Vivian Vance was reportedly said to have shouted out "champagne for everyone." Lucy announced that she had lost one of her closest, dearest friends, and Desi Arnaz took out a full-page ad in almost every paper in town saying, "Buenas noches, amigo." Good night, my friend. His last ever appearance on anything as an actor was The Lucy Show. He appeared as a stable worker, and when Lucy sees him, she says, "My, you remind me of somebody I used to know." Now, her co-star on that was Vivian Vance, but Vivian had left the show by that point and was only doing sporadic appearances and didn't want to do this one. Like I said, she disliked William so much, she didn't even want to be on that guest appearance. Sad relationship those two had. All right, we're gonna head home now. So you all know about my obsession with Steve Keen, and I mentioned that when you buy through his website, he sends you the smaller ones. Then if you go on eBay, he makes bigger ones of pretty well-known albums and sells them in 4s. That's what those are on this end. I just got a new package of those. Today's package is extra special because one of the paintings that he put in here was what made me move to Hollywood when I was 18 years old. So when you buy from his website, you get at least like 12 paintings. When you get them from his eBay, you get the 4 that are posted on there. So I'll show you what I got. All right, I finally got it unpacked. First one in there is Donovan, Sunshine Superman. So there it is, that's the first one. Now there's 4, and the spot that I have paintings for, I only need 3 of these, so that is definitely going to be the very bottom one. The next one is going to be, oh, it's stuck to the, this is what I bought it for. The album that changed my life when I was in 3rd grade, 8 years old. Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. Yeah, when I saw he posted that one, I said, life is full circle. And it's this album that made me want to move out here. And then this is the other of the 3 that's going to get hung up. Velvet Underground, Andy Warhol. Big fan of that one too. And then the 4th was just a perfect little bonus. Merle Haggard, Mama Tried. He rarely does country albums from what I've seen, so really cool to get these 4 together. Hey Ja, which one of those is your favorite? Donovan? Guns N' Roses? Velvet Underground, Andy Warhol? Merle Haggard, Mama Tried. The tail pretty much was equal on all of them. All right, my friends, we're gonna call it a night. I wanna thank Joanne Byrne, Julie Schwartz, Ron Hiller, Lynn Ferguson, Stella Spence, Kaz Yates, Rosemarie Sterling Cornelius, and Luke Stroud for becoming my newest Patreons. We'll see you all next time from, well, I'll save it for next time. Good night.